Hello, guys. It is Monday, May 18th, 2026, and I hope that you guys are doing well. Um, yeah, man, it's just crazy how time is flying by. We're almost halfway through the year, believe it or not. People are, classes, if you're in school, it's getting ready to be out for the summer. Um, in the United States, at least, right? If not already. Um, it's incredible how time just flies by. And last weekend didn't really do too much. My significant other had a communion that she went to with our eldest son, and they enjoyed their time there. I was with my youngest son because we have two kids, and we just kind of went back home, relaxed. I bought him some snacks and things like that to keep him entertained because he wasn't with his brother. You know how that could be. And yeah, just pretty much relaxed. Didn't do too much. Probably went to the gym, enjoyed doing my little sauna session, and went over my charts, trying to prepare myself for today. So let's get to it. Like I said, this weekend was uneventful. I closed last week still positive. I went over my charts and just relaxed. All right, so this is my funded futures. This is my third eval, so I started this last week, and so far so good. I had a unexpectedly, like, in terms of the amount that I made, day to day. Like, I did not anticipate to make that much money today, but it is what it is, and we'll go over that uh here shortly. And because of today, it brought me that much closer to the profit target, and things are looking good. All right. I'm on my third My Funded Futures evaluation. So far, things are going really well. I had a great trade today, netting $841. I had already gone over my first and third confirmation and analysis. So when it came time for the US market open at 9:30 Eastern time, my trades were already planned out. I was looking to clip 32 ticks to the downside on 3 MES contracts. If that was fulfilled, there was a possible second trade to clip 32 ticks to the upside. The first trade worked out, then I went long, but the market continued to pull down and hit my stop loss. At that point, I could have just called it a day, but I took the opportunity to re-enter. My references showed that even though I expected a pullback at the open, there was still overall strength, meaning the market would either push higher or range. Once I hopped back in after being stopped out, the market started to move higher, and I simply scalped the buys along the way. And I was just like it said, once I got stopped out and I decided to get back in the market. I think I went for 3 MES contracts, and then I tried one mini, and as it was pushing higher, pulling higher from that pull down, I was just able to make up for the loss, and then also lead myself in a profit. Like, once I added that mini, and there was I was able to catch a nice sizable move, it just really propelled everything. So I was quite fortunate there, but it did, and somewhat you know I was thinking, like, probably after 10 points, like, if the market pulled down 10 points, then maybe we can see a reverse at that point, but it pulled down almost to 20 points. So my stop loss is at 16 points. So when it hit my stop loss, I said, well, at that time, I said, well, it's pulled down like 20 points. I don't think it's going to go any further. And I think that at this point would be a good entry point if I was to, you know, if I did trust my analysis that it was going to pull higher, that there was still some strength left in the market. And I was able to capture that. I was able to ride it all the way up. It started to break above the 9:30 open, and I was able to capture most of that move, if not a little bit more. So it turned out really, really well. And then yeah, once I took a few trades off that rebound, I said that's it. Don't get greedy, and called it the day. So I was fortunate, very fortunate. But it aligned with the references, so I was, it was very nice. I just didn't expect it to pull down like that much. But anyways, excuse me, sorry. So this is a calendar. Today's trade has not been updated yet. It'll probably be updated after the market close, and we should see that trade today. But yeah, it's so far so good. Like last week, stayed in the green, stayed positive. Um, started out today was a fantastic day. Now, I love making I love making when I used to have my live account, I used to make I got to a point where I was making like 300, 400 a day. And I was really ecstatic. I was like, wow, I'm making 300, 400, and it's only going to go up from here, but just reaching that moment, I was like, this is awesome. Like nobody could tell me nothing. Like I was really happy, felt really good. And then before you know it, I had my first loss. I'm overconfident. I don't accept the loss. I'm compounding the losses. Now my earnings drop 50%. Now instead of making 3 to 400 bucks, I'm making 200. And I'm trying, it just dropped drastically. And then before you know it, that drops. And then before you know, I don't have any money. I only have $50 left in my TradeOvate account. And luckily I just took it out, you know, before I was going to lose that. Um, but so having this day where I made like 800 and some dollars, like I know that I have to relax. I know that I have to be, even though it's not super exciting for me because there's moments like these where it can easily change, you know? Like if you're not responsible, if you're not disciplined, like anybody can have a $800 day, a $1,000 day, $5,000, $10,000 day, depending on how much they have in their account or whatever, and they catch a great trade, a great move, they can easily walk out with $2 or $3 or $5,000. And then come the next day or whatever, like you could just give it all back. And like right now, I just gotta remain disciplined. Like the last two trades, like today, I really didn't have a reference for, but I spent, at least I had a little bit of time, like the weekend or whatnot, or to put things together to try to, develop a reference, find a reference. Just like on Friday, I didn't have a reference for that trade, and I was able to put some things together, and almost got chopped out of that trade by taking that risk. So, just being able to be patient and sit on my hands. Do I have anything else? All right, cool. Let me recap. Sorry. I'm about $533 away from my profit target, and that is awesome. However, this is the exact moment to lock in and follow my first and third confirmations and analysis. This is where I can get overconfident and start trading minis instead of micros, coming so close. I risk dropping the ball right before the finish line. The goal in trading is compounding profits and always having dry powder to stay in the game. I would love to have money in my personal account, not only my personal account, but my personal trading accounts as well, to be able to pay myself a little bit. But historically, it was moments just like these when I started to lose it all. I would start adding more size, and I wouldn't accept that I was wrong when a trade hit my stop loss. I also started spending the money too quickly because I hadn't had any for a long time, except for my tax returns. That is a long ways away. Next thing you know, I have a losing trade, The losses compound. I go on tilt, and I end up worse than where I started. My significant other's birthday is coming up on the 29th. The pressure of trying to pass the evaluation, get funded, and clear the funded phase just to give her money prior to her birthday, even though she has already secured her own birthday money and has funds in her account, is a dangerous catalyst for me to lose everything. It could be the beginning of me justifying reasons to trade, even when a setup doesn't align with my rules or lacks references, much like my past two trades. The next time I take a trade that I don't have a reference for, it could be my last trade. It all comes down to the inability to be patient. I'm actually more scared during moments like this than when I'm struggling because so many times I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel only for the tunnel to cave in on me. That's right there is just self-explanatory. Like it said, like my significant other's birthday is coming up on the 29th, and I remember months ago she's like, if you could just give me $250 to cover some of the dinner expenses with my girlfriend or something like that, like it'd be, that'd be perfect. And luckily, when we did our taxes here in Spain today, she found out that she's going to get a little bit of money back, and that money is like 200 and something dollars. So she's like, I'm going to use this money for my birthday. It's all for you. No problem about that at all. You know. But when I look at this big day, and I said, man, I could potentially pass this, this week. Not I could potentially pass this soon, if it meets my requirements and it meets my setups and I have a reference for it. So I don't want to start justifying trades so that I can try to pass this. I'm taking C plus setups, B setups when I just need to only focus on A setups. Right? And then once you get to the funded phase, right, you got another 4 or 6% that you got to earn, right? So then the clock starts over, and you got to have that same performance. And then there's a little bit more rules. There's no consistency, but you got to have at least 5 to 7 trading days of $100 or more. So it's just it's just like you got to be on your game. And not every day I have a reference for the setup. Like Friday and today, I was fortunate enough to gather information, to look at my notes, to look at all my charts, and develop a reference. And so far, it's played out. And I hope that I have, if I can't formulate a reference, that I just can sit on my hands and say, just wait and be patient. Like I said earlier, the objective in trading is to always have money. It's no fun when you don't have no money. You're just kind of like demo trading until you come up with the means to add money to your account. It's no fun when you're stuck in this the prop firm space where you gotta abide by the rules and do 6% during the eval and do another 6%. The second time and continue to perform at such a high by maintaining risk management and discipline in order to get paid, or a mistake or two that it's all over. I don't like to be stuck in this environment. I miss my Tradeovate, my Ninja Trader accounts. And I'm just looking at I watch because My Funded Futures has a YouTube channel, and I'm just looking at these people trading. And besides the first two people like Tom and Terry, like at least Terry has an algorithm. Like she tries to be disciplined too. Like maybe there's some things she has to work on the algorithm because she's like, it doesn't seem like it's working properly. But the rest of the traders, I ain't gonna lie, like I only usually get through through Tom and Terry and Pine Tree, whatever his name is. And Pine Tree, I mean, he gets payouts But I kid you not, the money that he's probably spent in order to get to those payouts, he's probably spent more money than he has earned in payouts. Because I think his strategy is just go full tilt all the time. And like the money that he would make is just money that he sets aside to put back into the slot machine and to try to get another payout. Like I really feel like even though he has like a thing called outside bar, inside bar, but I really feel he's mentally already locked in to a mental state where it's just like just gamble at all costs. And it's really unhealthy. It's really unhealthy to the audience to be watching that. I mean, yeah, they think they flash a payout like, oh, I just paid myself $750, $53, yada yada yada, and then like it's just like the mental state that he's in. He's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna, just no strategy, no discipline, and we're all watching thinking that that's cool, that's the way, and it's just, and then you look at Tom sometimes, and he has an idea, but all his ideas have been challenged so far in these new market conditions. He thinks it's gonna go one way, and then it doesn't, and then he's just like, "Okay, Terry, what are you gonna do? Okay, Wafa, what are you gonna do?" And he just jumps in, following their ideas, and it's like wow, like I thought watching the traders on off a Ninja Trader YouTube channel was bad, but these my fun and future. it's I don't. It's like just seems completely gamified. Like the things that they talk about, like when they had a round table and they, or when who was it that hosted that talk? When Boris from BK Traders spoke with the prop firm, some of the biggest prop firms that we have, like Lucid, Apex, and some other one, and they talk about how people just try to gamify the system, how they just try to bet big or whatever the case may be. And then you see a person that's associated with the prop firm doing exactly what they say they don't want, exactly what they said they don't like, the type of trading behavior. And you see them doing it. But at the end of the day, it's just a lot of money. A lot of money. Like if it was that easy, if that was the way, like, oh, just buy accounts, and I just go hard. I just go hard on evals. I try to get to the funded. They come up with all these strategies, to try to, justify the poor standards. Oh, I just try to get through it as fast as I can. I don't want to waste any days. Well, when you do that, the chances are very slim. Like you really got to have a lot of money to keep buying the eval, buying the eval, buying the eval. And if you're maxing out all the time, yeah, you may get one trade that hit, you make it through the funded, and then you gotta do it again. And then if you lose the funded, you gotta do it twice all over. You gotta try to get through the eval. You gotta try to get, so it's just like slow down a little bit, like slow it down, but that's what happens when we're watching these channels. And I gotta learn to like push it to the side, or at least when I was trading today, like I went back to it after I completed my trading for entertainment. Then I came back and watched it. But now don't watch it while you're trading, because you don't know what's going on. And it's just a space I do not like to be in. Like this whole prop firm space is getting more and more gamified. Last week they had a duck race, and they're giving out, got giveaways and stuff like that. Like, like what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? So, you got to decide for yourself, you got to see through that. You got to see through that noise and realize it's nothing but noise. And is it benefiting you as a trader, or is it distracting you? Is it messing up your game? Like, nobody wants to sit through a long talk, a long old video of Linda Raschke. Nobody wants to dig up and find people who've actually worked on the floor, worked on Wall Street, or worked as a chief strategist for an investment fund or PM or whatever. Like, nobody wants to listen to Masters in Business, with Barry Riddles. Like, nobody don't really want to listen to Bloomberg, so I get it. Like, these prop firms are like, is new, is entertaining, like all the strategies sound the same, if not useless, support and resistance. How many times are you gonna see that? I try to get in on the pullback. I try to do, like all this stuff, ICT, all this stuff. That's some, like sometimes you gotta cut through all the noise and stay focused. Because you could be running in a circle and the first year has gone by, second year has gone by, third year has gone by. You looked up, you finally got to look up and be like, man, I have better chances of buckling down, studying my chart, studying things, looking for patterns myself than tuning into this bullcrap. Oh, we give out price signals. Oh, there's so many things. Oh, we have a stock trading club. I mean, not a stock trading, a futures club where we go over market structure. And the person that's promoting it has no receipts, no certificates, no education, no receipt, no nothing, no consistency. But they want you to pay $147 a month to be in a Discord. That's what it sounds like. A market structure community where you get on a Zoom call. Like, you got to do your homework out here, because there's just more and more of this nonsense that's popping up. And if you're a new trader entering into trading 2025, 2026, and you type into YouTube and the first thing that pulls up is just like all these things with fancy thumbnails and grabbing statements, like the only strategy you will need. Like, you really got to do your homework. Like, if they just started making videos in the last, year or so, like, maybe that's not the best option. And if they, like, you want to find traders prior to 2021, 2022, prior to that. And even if you find people through 2021, 2022, it's kind of good, because you could look at how they're doing now, because you could have, during 2021, 2022, it seemed like a lot of people were profitable in that time during those certain market conditions. And then when you fast forward, you don't know what they're talking about now. You don't know what they're on now. I always prefer to look for people prior to that. Prior to that. Because they probably have a much better understanding of the market conditions, a little bit more mature. Right now, it's still a little bit immature right now, with all these people popping up YouTube channels, wanting to go in and become a live host. This is not a joke. Trading is not a joke. You dabble to this and you get caught up in it, it can tear you down. It'll take a while to see profitability. Some people would say, why did it take so long? Well, you don't know all the market conditions. And that's why the people in 2021 and 2022 are struggling right now, because it's a different market condition. 2021, 2022, ICT seemed to answer all the questions. See if you can apply ICT today. JCap back in 2021, 22 made a few million, a couple $1 million. How about today? Market conditions change, and it really could test your strategy. And tested mine. I had to go back and say, damn, the trades that I used to, when this setup met my requirements, it used to be easy execution. What's going on now? I got to look deeper. It's uncomfortable, you know. But you got to do it. You got to update your strategy, your analysis. You got to update and make some changes, and realize that this, we're in a different environment. So that's all I have to say, right? Just for myself, it's just to be careful. But I would love to be in a position, in a place where it's just you're at the point where money could just flow in. You done compounded the count to from hundreds, from ones to from tens to hundreds to thousands. And if you want to step away, if the trade doesn't meet your analysis or meet one of your references or whatever, you got money for a rainy day. You could still go out and enjoy your life, still go shopping if you want to, still go on a trip. It's okay. Right now, I'm not at that point. Right now, I'm at like, every day counts, and to sit on my hands, maybe I could find a way, and start justifying, now you start dropping down BC setups. Somehow on those B and C setups, we want to put on more risk. It's funny how the brain and the psychology works. For the B and C plus setup, we want to put on more risk. But I hope it works out. I'm in a desperate state, in a desperate mind frame, and I need to get myself out of that and just continue to go through my analysis, continue to make the best decision I can with the tools that I have, the information that I have, my edge. That's the best that you can do. If it's not there, it's not there. There's no reason why we should get this 800 and something dollars back for being irresponsible, for not being disciplined.